The alien diplomat with a cold heart. Sorelli stood in the middle of the great hall on the Human Alliance ship. Her long silver hair flowed behind her, and her purple eyes stared at the human leaders like they were insects. She wore the royal colors of her people, the Velinari, known across the stars for their beauty, wisdom, and pride. Humans are not compatible with our kind, Sorelli said. Her voice was soft but cold. We will not mix our blood. Our history, our power, our evolution. It is far beyond yours. Some humans looked offended. Others looked confused. But one man, standing in the back, simply watched her. He did not speak. He did not look angry. His eyes were calm and steady, like still water. His name was Captain Elias Kane. Sorelli noticed him, but she ignored him. She had no time for weak species. Her mission was simple: speak, show power, return home. But the Human Council had other plans. As part of our peace program, said one of the human leaders, we ask you to stay aboard our main fleet for 7 days. Learn about our people. We will do the same. Sorelli's jaw tightened. She did not like this. But as a diplomat, she could not refuse. Very well, she said. I will observe your kind, but do not expect miracles. Later, Sorelli was taken to a human battleship. The halls were plain and cold. She hated the smell of metal and oil. The Velinari ships were warm and alive, made from growing crystal and energy. This human ship felt like a cage. A young officer greeted her. Welcome, Ambassador, he said. I'll take you to Captain Kane. The name made her pause. The man in the back? She asked. Yes, the officer smiled. He's in charge of this vessel. He's different. Sorelli said nothing. She followed in silence. They entered the command room. Captain Elias turned around. Up close, Sorelli saw his face clearly. It was not beautiful by Velinari standards. Rough skin, dark hair, tired eyes. But there was something in him, a quiet strength. Welcome aboard, he said. Sorelli gave a short nod. I will not be here long. Still, Elias replied, I hope your time here is interesting. Sorelli raised an eyebrow. Interesting is not what I seek. For the next few hours, Sorelli walked through the ship. She watched the humans. Their ways were clumsy, their language harsh, their emotions wild. She thought, how did such a messy race survive? As she walked past a control panel, the ship shook. A minor system glitch. Sorelli stumbled. Elias, who was nearby, reached out and grabbed her arm to steady her. Their skin touched, and everything changed. Sorelli gasped. Her eyes widened. A strange warmth spread through her body. It was soft but deep, like a forgotten song waking up inside her. She pulled away quickly. Are you all right? Elias asked. Do not touch me again, she said sharply, but her voice had a slight shake. Elias noticed it, but said nothing. Sorelli returned to her room. She sat on the bed, breathing hard. Her fingers still tingled. Velinari had sharp senses. They could feel energy. But this was something else. She looked at her hand. What did I just feel? She had touched many beings before. None had felt like that. Not even close. She stood and went to the wall console. Scan my energy, she ordered. The machine beeped and began reading her levels. Normal, normal, then a spike. Energy reaction, unknown source, probable biological resonance. Sorelli frowned. Resonance? That was rare. It only happened when two life forms shared a unique energy match, something ancient, something primal. This cannot be, she whispered. Suddenly, she remembered Elias's hand. The warmth, the steady pulse. It was him. Her heart, calm for years, now beat faster. She closed her eyes. No, this means nothing. But deep inside, something had changed. And it had only just begun. The spark she couldn't explain. Sorelli did not sleep that night. She lay on the smooth surface of her bed, staring at the glowing patterns on the ceiling of her guest room. The Velinari did not dream the way humans did, but tonight, her mind felt full of strange colors and pulses, like electricity dancing through her thoughts. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face. Captain Elias Kane. His touch had lasted only a second, but the warmth from his hand still burned on her skin like a hidden flame. She could still feel it, soft, steady, powerful, not violent, not controlling, just alive. She sat up and touched her arm where he had grabbed her. Her fingers trembled. Why does this human disturb me? She thought. Her people had trained her to block feelings. Velinari diplomats were taught from birth to be emotionless, cold, calm, in control. Feelings made you weak. But now her chest felt heavy. Her heart beat too fast. Her breathing was no longer smooth. This had to stop. The next morning, Sorelli dressed in a long flowing robe made of light reactive silk. It shimmered as she walked through the hallway. She told herself, I will observe, nothing more. I will not feel again. But as she entered the main deck, her eyes found him. Elias stood by the window, looking out at the stars. He looked tired, but calm. Sorelli could sense the storm beneath his still surface. He was not a man of many words, but he held power within. Ambassador, he said quietly. She nodded, keeping her tone cool. Captain, how's your stay so far? He asked. Your ship is clean. Your crew is tolerable. Elias gave a small smile. I'll take that as praise. Sorelli turned to leave, but paused. Her voice was sharp. Why did your touch affect me yesterday? Elias blinked. Affect you? How do you mean? She took a step forward. When you grabbed my arm, I felt something. Energy. It was not normal. He looked away, frowning. I didn't feel anything strange, but I've experienced odd things before. Explain, she said quickly. Elias hesitated. I've always had a kind of connection. To machines, to places, even to people sometimes. But it never meant much. It means something to me. Sorelli said. I scanned my energy. There is resonance. Rare, dangerous. What does that mean? Sorelli didn't answer. Instead, she walked away fast. She rushed to the ship's medbay. Inside, she ordered a private scan, one even Elias couldn't access. The results were shocking. The energy signature from Elias's touch had left a trace, not just physical, but molecular. It was sensing with her body slowly, like her cells were adapting to it. This is impossible, she whispered. Back on her homeworld, legends spoke of something called the Bond of Flame. It was believed to be myth, an ancient connection between two souls from different worlds, created by the universe for a greater purpose. Only 1 in a billion experienced it. And it was always dangerous. Suddenly, a voice interrupted her. You shouldn't be running scans like that without permission, said a sharp voice. Sorelli turned. It was Lieutenant Drax, a Velinari intelligence agent disguised as a peacekeeper. What are you doing here? She asked. I've been sent to watch you, he said. You've changed since coming aboard, and your energy is unstable. Sorelli narrowed her eyes. I am still in control. Not for long, Drax said coldly. You're resonating with a human. If the elders find out, they will recall you. Or worse. You will not report this. I already have, he said. They know, and they are sending someone. Sorelli's blood turned cold. Who? The Purifier. That word shook her. The Purifier was a shadow, a Velinari enforcer sent to erase those who broke sacred rules. If she stayed with Elias, she would be marked. Back in her quarters, Sorelli stood before the mirror. Her hands were shaking again. Her energy patterns were changing, slowly turning golden, the color of awakening. She looked at her reflection and whispered, What are you doing to me, human? Just then, the door opened. Elias walked in. We need to talk. Sorelli turned fast, ready to attack, but stopped. He looked serious, worried. I had a dream, he said. In it, you were burning, and I was trying to reach you, but a wall of energy held me back. Her mouth fell open. That's impossible. Velinari can share dreams, but not humans. Maybe I'm not just human, Elias said quietly. Sorelli took a slow breath. No, this is too dangerous. My people have sent someone. If they find out what we are, what we're becoming, we'll face it together, Elias said. But you need to trust me. She looked into his eyes, and for the first time in her life, Sorelli didn't feel above someone. She didn't feel stronger or better. She felt connected. But connection came with risk, and the galaxy was watching. The truth buried in her blood. Sorelli locked the doors of her room. Her hands were cold, her heart racing. She paced the floor, thinking over every word Elias had said. Maybe I'm not just human. Those words haunted her. Humans were not supposed to dream share with Velinari. They were not supposed to carry ancient energy signatures. And they were never supposed to trigger the bond of flame. She stepped in front of the scanning device again. Her fingers shook as she typed the access code. The machine hummed. Light moved around her, scanning her body from head to toe. Then the report appeared. Alert. Hybrid response detected. Genetic resonance match. 98.9%. Status. Partial awakening. External source linked. Sorelli stared at the screen. Her legs gave out, and she sat on the cold floor. Hybrid. Awakening. She had read about the ancient theory long ago during her training. It spoke of a time before the Velinari became powerful. Back then, the stars were ruled by creatures of fire and light, energy-born beings who walked between worlds. They called them the first sparks. Some believe the first sparks left traces behind, inside a few chosen bloodlines. The Velinari called it myth. But what if it wasn't? What if Elias carried something ancient within him? And what if her body, trained and evolved to sense the rarest energies, had been made to respond to it? Her door suddenly buzzed. She stood quickly, wiped her face, and opened it halfway. It was Elias, again. His voice was calm. We need to leave the ship. Sorelli narrowed her eyes. Why? Because your people aren't just watching. They're coming. And they're not coming to talk. Who told you? A friend on the bridge picked up a strange transmission. Velinari encryption. High-level threat protocol. Your people have activated something called the Purifier. Sorelli's stomach dropped. How do you know that name? Elias stepped inside. I heard it in my dream. A voice said it clearly. The Purifier is near. Sorelli backed away. That's not possible. Velinari minds are protected. Not even your technology can break through. How are you hearing our thoughts? Elias looked away. Because I've been hearing things since I was a child. Thoughts, dreams, sometimes even pain from people far away. I never understood it. But since I touched you, it's been louder, clearer. Sorelli whispered, you were never just human. He met her eyes. Maybe neither are you. Before she could respond, an explosion rocked the ship. The lights flickered. Alarms rang. Elias grabbed her arm. We have to go. Now. They rushed through the halls. Soldiers ran in the opposite direction. Smoke filled the air. Sorelli's ears picked up something the humans couldn't hear. A humming, high-pitched tone. Velinari tech. Stealth class. Someone had boarded the ship. The Purifier. They reached the hangar, where a scout ship was waiting. Elias's crew had already prepped it. Sorelli turned to him. This won't stop them. They won't stop until I'm dead, or until I'm cleansed. Then we run, Elias said. We find out what this connection really is, and why we're being hunted. As they entered the ship and took off, Sorelli's mind raced. Behind them, the Purifier stepped out of the shadows and watched their escape. Hours later, in deep space, Sorelli sat in silence. She stared at the stars through the window. Elias sat across from her, quiet but alert. Finally, she spoke. "You want to know the truth?" "Always," he said. "My blood, it carries the lineage of the oldest Velinari. My mother was part of the Inner Flame, keepers of forbidden history. They told me stories of a bond so rare it was feared. A link between two souls who, when joined, could unlock power not meant for any empire. They said one would come from the stars, the other from ash." "And which one are you?" Elias asked softly. "I don't know anymore." Sorelli turned toward him. Her voice was low. "But if this bond is real, if we are truly linked, then we were not meant to fight each other. We were meant to change something." "Change what?" he asked. Sorelli looked at her hand, glowing faintly with golden light. "Everything." But deep in her mind, she felt something dark moving. The purifier had not come alone. And soon, the bond between them would be tested, not by power, but by sacrifice. The awakening of something ancient. The small scout ship glided through the emptiness of space. Silence filled the air except for the soft hum of the engines. Sorelli sat by the window, her thoughts louder than any sound outside. She kept her fingers pressed to her wrist, where her veins now shimmered faintly with gold. The glow had started an hour ago and had not faded. She didn't tell Elias. Not yet. He stood at the navigation panel, eyes scanning the maps. "We need to hide somewhere the Velinari won't look," he said. Sorelli didn't answer. "There's a planet nearby," Elias continued. "One with old ruins. No population. But sensors show energy signatures there. Might be linked to the old stories you told me." She finally turned to him. "What planet?" He touched a spot on the map. "We call it Arcanus 4. But Velinari records name it something else." Her eyes narrowed. "A car telephone, the burning place." "You know it?" he asked. "Yes," she said slowly. "It's forbidden. Velinari are not allowed to go there. They say it's cursed. Some say it's the birthplace of the bond." Elias gave a grim smile. "Then it sounds like the perfect place for us." As they approached the planet, the ship shook, not from impact or fire, but something strange. A pull, like gravity, but deeper, emotional, spiritual. "This place," Sorelli whispered, "it remembers." They landed in a dead valley filled with broken stone and deep cracks glowing faintly blue. No life, no wind, just silence and heat. Sorelli stepped out first. The moment her feet touched the ground, she felt it, like something had been waiting for her, something ancient. Elias followed. He didn't feel fear, only curiosity. He looked at the giant stone structures ahead, towers shaped like hands reaching toward the sky, as if begging the stars to return. "There," Sorelli said, pointing to a wide gate covered in dust. Symbols were carved into the stone. She brushed the dirt away with her hand. "Can you read it?" Elias asked. Sorelli nodded. "It's old Velinari, very old. It says, 'Those joined by flame and flesh will awaken the star sleepers.'" "What are star sleepers?" "No one knows. The records were erased long ago." They entered the gate. Inside, a large chamber opened up, covered in golden light. At the center stood a circular platform with two handprints, one shaped like a human hand, and the other like a Velinari's. Elias stared. "Do you think it's safe?" Sorelli didn't answer. She stepped forward slowly. Her fingers tingled. Her heart pounded. She placed her hand on the Velinari mark. The circle lit up. "Now you," she whispered. Elias placed his hand on the human side. The light exploded. A pulse of energy shot through the room, lifting them both into the air. Sorelli cried out, but not in pain. Her mind was full of visions, stars exploding, cities floating in the sky, creatures made of pure fire. She saw a woman like her, and a man like Elias. standing hand in hand, as thousands knelt before them. Then, darkness. They dropped to the floor, breathing hard, sweating, shaking. Zarelli looked at her hands. Her skin now had golden lines running along her arms, pulsing like veins of fire. "What just happened?" Elias asked, gasping. Zarelli's eyes were wide. "We triggered the chamber. It recognized us. We are the bond." Suddenly, a sound echoed through the ruins. Footsteps. They turned fast. At the gate, a tall figure stood. His armor was black and red, his face hidden behind a smooth mask. Zarelli froze. The purifier. The figure raised his hand. A wave of energy hit Elias, throwing him against the wall. Zarelli screamed and ran to him. The purifier stepped closer. His voice was low and filled with venom. "You broke the law of the stars. Velinari do not bond with humans." Zarelli stood in front of Elias, shielding him. "He is more than human, and you fear that." "I destroy what threatens the balance," the purifier said. He raised his hand again. But this time, Zarelli moved first. She raised her palm and released a blast of light so bright the chamber walls shook. The purifier was thrown back, crashing through stone. Elias looked up, stunned. "What was that?" Zarelli turned, her eyes glowing. "Something ancient has awakened in me. In us. I don't fully understand it. But we were chosen. Not by a council. Not by blood. By something greater." Elias stood up, his body still weak. "We need to finish this, or they'll keep chasing us." Zarelli nodded. "Then we make our stand here, in the place where it all began." Above them, the chamber's ceiling cracked open, revealing the stars. And in the sky, more Velinari ships began to descend. The war was no longer about humans and aliens. It was about what they could become, together. Hunted by her own people, the sky above Arcanus IV was filled with glowing lights. They were not stars. They were Velinari warships. Zarelli and Elias stood together in the center of the ancient chamber, surrounded by ruins that had just awakened after thousands of years. The broken stones still pulsed with golden light from their bond. But that light was fading, and Zarelli could feel it. The storm was coming. The purifier rose from the rubble, his black and red armor cracked but still deadly. His mask hissed with steam as he spoke. "You were warned, Zarelli. Your blood has betrayed you." Zarelli narrowed her eyes. "My blood didn't betray anyone." It remembered. The purifier pointed at Elias. "That human is a virus. And you are now infected." Before he could attack again, Elias stepped forward, his hands glowing faintly. "If I'm a virus, then why are you so afraid of me?" The purifier paused. Even through the mask, fear leaked from him like smoke. Elias's energy had changed. The ruins had done something to him, something the purifier didn't understand and couldn't control. "We don't have time to fight him." Zarelli whispered, "Look up." Elias turned. Hundreds of Velinari dropships were entering the atmosphere, spreading like black wings across the sky. "They're surrounding the planet," he said. "How do we escape?" Zarelli didn't answer. Her face was pale. She had trained with those ships, led their missions. She knew their strength. She also knew who commanded them. "My sister is leading them," she said quietly. Elias turned to her. "You have a sister." "Yes. Her name is Yelira. She's high command. Stronger than me. Colder than me. I once saw her burn a traitor's mind from his skull just for speaking the wrong name." "Do you think she'll spare you?" "No." They both knew what was coming. This wasn't a rescue. It was a cleansing. Zarelli pulled a small device from her belt and activated a hidden beacon. From deep within the ruins, old machines responded. Ancient defense towers began rising slowly from the stone floor, shaking dust into the air. "You're activating weapons?" Elias asked. "No," Zarelli said. "Not weapons. Guardians. They're not built to destroy. They're built to protect what matters. Metal figures formed from the walls, tall, glowing with inner fire, like statues come to life. They surrounded the chamber and faced outward ready. Zarelli walked to the center of the chamber. Her voice was heavy. They won't protect us for long. The ships will fire from above. Then we need to leave, Elias said. We can't. He stepped closer. Why not? Because if we run now, this bond will stay half awake. The chamber showed us a choice. Either we face the fire, or the stars forget us. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. You are not forgotten yet. Zarelli and Elias turned fast. At the top of the stairs stood a woman, tall, cloaked in violet armor, her eyes glowing like ice. Yelira. You've shamed our bloodline, Yelira said, voice like a blade. And now you stand beside this creature. Elias didn't flinch. You must be the sister, and you must be the infection, Yelira replied. Zarelli stepped forward. I didn't choose him. The bond chose us. Yelira's mouth tightened. Then you are no longer Velinari. She raised her hand, and two armored soldiers stepped forward. They aimed strange weapons at Zarelli and Elias. I won't let you take her, Elias said. You won't have a choice, Yelira snapped. Fire. But before the soldiers could pull the trigger, the Guardians activated. A wall of golden light surged up between the two groups. Energy crackled. Weapons malfunctioned. The Guardians marched forward with slow, burning steps. Yelira's face twisted in rage. Traitors, all of you. Zarelli grabbed Elias's hand. We have one chance. We go deeper into the ruins. There's an ancient core below. If we reach it, we might unlock the full bond. It's the only way to survive. They ran through a narrow tunnel as the chamber behind them erupted into battle. Guardians clashed with Velinari soldiers. Sparks lit up the sky. As they moved deeper underground, the air grew warmer. Energy pulsed through the walls, recognizing them, guiding them. Finally, they reached a circular room, glowing gold and blue. At its center floated a sphere of pure energy, alive, watching them. Zarelli stepped forward. This is it, the Star Heart. What do we do? Elias asked. We let it in. Zarelli closed her eyes. She touched the sphere. It flared with light. Elias reached out too. The moment his skin touched it, the room exploded in brilliance. Memories not their own flooded their minds. Echoes of ancient love stories, sacrifices, wars, and unity between worlds. They saw how the bond had once saved galaxies, and how fear had buried it. When the light faded, Zarelli opened her eyes. Her body was different. So was Elias. They now glowed with the same energy. Golden veins, burning eyes, pulsing hearts. They were no longer just Velinari and human. They were something new, a union the universe had tried to forget. But now, it had returned, and nothing could stop it. Not even blood, the bond that shook the stars. The energy still danced through their skin. Zarelli and Elias stood in silence inside the ancient chamber of the Star Heart. The golden sphere behind them slowly faded, its purpose complete. It had awakened them, not just as two individuals, but as something greater, something fused. Zarelli looked at her hands. The glowing veins were no longer flickering. They pulsed with steady light. Elias, too, had changed. His eyes were brighter, his body stronger. And around them, the very air seemed to bend slightly, like the space between worlds was listening. She whispered, "We are no longer what we were." Elias nodded, his voice deeper. "But we are still us." Outside, the world had turned to war. The ruins of Arcanus IV burned. Velinari soldiers battled the Guardians, while Yelira's command ship sent down blasts of fire and light to destroy the ancient structures. The ground cracked. The sky screamed with falling debris. And then, the chamber doors broke open. Yelira entered, dragging behind her a broken Guardian core. Her armor glowed with rage. She was alone, but she didn't seem afraid. Her voice echoed in the silence. So this is what you've become. Two twisted lives holding hands over the ashes of old gods. Sorale stepped forward. This is who we were always meant to be. You just didn't want to see it. Ylira pointed at Elias. And you are the reason she turned against her own people. Elias's voice was steady. She didn't turn against anyone. She saw the truth. Ylira raised a strange blade, dark metal with purple energy flowing through it. Then let's see what your truth does against this. She charged. Sorale met her halfway. Sisters of the same blood, one chosen by fate, the other chained by fear, collided like stars falling into each other. Light burst from their clash. Elias tried to reach them, but the energy was too strong. Ylira struck with practiced skill, her blade slicing through the air like lightning. Sorale dodged and blocked, her hands now glowing like fire. Every strike was faster than sound, every movement heavy with memory. You were always jealous of me, Sorale said through clenched teeth. Ylira shouted, No, I pitied you. Their fight cracked the floor. Stone shattered. Energy burst in waves. But Sorale was no longer the same. She wasn't fighting alone. Elias felt it too, their connection. He stepped forward and raised his hand. Golden light shot from his fingers and wrapped around Sorale like armor. Their bond reacted. Sorale suddenly moved faster, stronger, her strikes now glowing with Elias's energy. Ylira tried to resist, but she was being pushed back. The bond between Sorale and Elias was not just emotional, it was real. Physical, spiritual. It had changed the rules of power. Finally, Sorale disarmed her sister. The dark blade flew across the room and vanished into the cracks. Sorale stood over Ylira, breathing hard. Ylira stared up at her, bloody and broken. Finish it, she hissed. That's what your bond wants, doesn't it? But Sorale stepped back. No, she said, my bond doesn't want death. It wants truth, freedom, unity, not destruction. Ylira looked away, defeated. Elias came beside Sorale and gently took her hand. Then something unexpected happened. The walls of the chamber shook, not from outside attacks, but from within. Symbols lit up across the stone, symbols no one had seen in thousands of years. A deep voice, neither male nor female, echoed from everywhere and nowhere. The bond has been proven. The guardians shall rise again. Outside, the battlefield stopped. All Velinari soldiers dropped their weapons. Their armor dimmed. Above them, the sky opened, and from the broken clouds came shapes of pure light. Massive ancient beings made of energy and memory. The true guardians. They hovered in silence, staring down at the chaos below. Then the voice echoed again. Those who carry the bond shall lead the new path, not with war, but with remembrance. The soldiers fell to their knees. Ylira, still breathing, watched with wide eyes. She knew now, this wasn't a rebellion, it was a return. Sorale helped her sister stand. You don't have to understand it. You just have to feel it. Ylira didn't speak. She simply nodded once and stepped aside. Elias looked around at the quiet battlefield. What happens now? Sorale squeezed his hand. Now we show them a different way. We lead, not by power, but by connection. And as they stepped outside the ancient chamber, surrounded by soldiers, guardians, and the shattered pieces of the old world, the stars above them shifted, not in fear, but in hope. She chose him and changed the galaxy. The battlefield was quiet now. Ships no longer rumbled across the sky. Velinari soldiers stood frozen under the light of the awakened guardians. The ruins of Arcanus IV still glowed beneath their feet, ancient energy flowing again after thousands of years of silence. Sorale stood at the edge of the stone platform with Elias beside her. Their hands were still joined, their golden veins pulsing in rhythm like one heartbeat shared between two souls. For the first time in Velinari history, Silence was not born from fear, but from awe. Above them, the guardians of light floated like spirits in the clouds. No weapons, no armies, just presence. Ancient watchers who had seen the rise and fall of stars. They had waited centuries for the bond to return. Now they bowed their heads in silent respect. Elias whispered, "They're listening." Sorelli nodded. "They always were. We just didn't know how to hear them." Yelira, her armor cracked and her pride broken, stood a few steps behind them. The High Commander, the enforcer of purity, had become a witness to change. She didn't speak. She only watched, her cold eyes no longer sharp with hate, but softened with confusion. Then came the voice, not from a person, but from the stars themselves. "What will you do now, Sorelli of Velinari? And you, Ilias of Earth? The bond is yours, but the galaxy watches." Sorelli stepped forward. Her voice, calm but steady, echoed across the valley. "I choose a new way," she said. "For too long we feared connection. We feared weakness. We called emotion a sickness. But it is not weakness to feel. It is strength to care." She turned to face the Velinari army. "We built walls between races. We turned our backs on anything different. We called humans primitive. But this man, this human, held more light than all our empires combined. And when I touched him, I didn't just feel his warmth." She paused, tears forming in her glowing eyes. "I felt home." Across the valley, Velinari soldiers dropped to one knee. Yelira remained standing, but her eyes were wet. Elias then stepped forward. His voice was strong, but kind. "We came from a small world. We never had power like yours. We made mistakes, but we always fought to protect the ones we loved. Maybe that's what made us dangerous. Not because we were stronger, but because we never stopped hoping." He looked up at the sky, where the guardians hovered like stars made flesh. "We're ready to stop running. Ready to stop hiding. We're ready to build." The guardians moved then, not with sound, but with light. They descended and formed a circle around Sorelli and Elias. Beams of gold rose from the earth. Ancient machines woke again. The ruins shifted, revealing the hidden staircase leading into the heart of Arcanus IV. Sorelli looked down at it. She turned to Elias. "Do you trust me?" she asked. "Always," he answered. Hand in hand, they stepped into the light. Deep beneath the surface was a chamber older than any ship, any empire. It pulsed with life. Symbols floated in the air. Records from a forgotten age. Memories stored in light itself. As they entered, the chamber reacted. The symbols aligned. The air shimmered. A voice, clearer now, softer, whispered, "You are the new bond-bearers, guardians of the star path. The choice is yours. Do you wish to reset the cycle, or rewrite it?" Sorelli looked at Elias. His hand tightened around hers. "Rewrite," she said. "We write a future where no one is born to be alone." They touched the center of the chamber. Light burst across the galaxy. Every Velinari ship stopped mid-flight. Engines powered down gently. Across distant planets, hidden ruins lit up for the first time in ages. On human colonies, people looked to the sky as beams of golden light appeared above them, guiding them, calling them. The bond had awakened something far greater than power. It had awakened memory, and memory became unity. Within days, a new council was formed, not of leaders and conquerors, but of voices from all worlds. Velinari, human, and others long ignored. Their first meeting wasn't held in a palace or a space station, but on Arcanus IV, the birthplace of the bond. At the center stood Sorelli and Elias, not as rulers, but as reminders that once a proud alien woman who hated humans touched a man's skin, and everything changed. She didn't just choose him. She chose a future where the stars were no longer divided by fear, but linked by light.